Andy Austin here with a man bun in the attic for the Wednesday rant about perception is projection. This is one of those tropes that does the rounds on a regular basis, and I think it's one of the first pseudo-mystical concepts I was introduced to in the field of therapy and pop psychology and personal development generally. We don't see the world how the world is, we see the world how we is. Basically, we see the world the way we are being. When I'm in a good mood, I'm more likely to see good things. When I'm in a bad mood, I'm more likely to see bad things. And this works for memory as well. And this is a very well-known experience. It's incorporated into all sorts of Eastern and mystical philosophies. And essentially, that's it. Our perception of the world, our map of the world, is adjusted according to how we are. And as we go through life, we feel that we live in a completely different world. I certainly know from my depressed days, when the world seemed very bleak indeed, it's pretty much the same world that I'm in now, and I see it very differently now, of course, because I see the world largely how I am. But that's not to say 100% of perception is purely projection. We're not solipsists. This is not the Matrix. We're not little brains in a jar perceiving the entire universe. Argue in the comment section if you want to put that point in there. Go for it. There is a consensual reality. There is a mutual point of agreement, and all the other areas that are subjective. One of the problems that when pop psychology people, personal development people, alphabet therapists get hold of this, it becomes an all-encompassing theory to explain absolutely everything. And this is the logical place it ends up with these idiots. We only hate in others that which we hate in ourselves. So we have the Jungian shadow side, and all the bits of ourself we hide away from ourselves. Okay, most people can relate to that. We are very good at trying to show the best of ourselves to the world, but also the best of ourselves to ourselves. And we kind of steer away the bits from the bits of us that we don't like. And every now and again it breaks through, and we give ourselves a hard time about that and so forth. So there's all that stuff that exists in the shadows. Now, when I object, hate, have a negative experience of someone else or someone else's behavior, when I make a judgment about someone else, about the world, it's because it's in my shadow. And that seems to be a very common trope. And I've heard this in varying forms so often since pretty much as an adult, and in the circles that I have mixed in. Here's the thing. Let's change the parameters from the Pollyanna world of the alphabet therapist and personal development guru. So I only see in others that which I am, that I have hidden from myself. Okay, what about domestic abuse? I have a particular thing. I don't really like people who treat others badly. Does that mean that's inside me? Okay, if you say yes, if you think that's likely to be true, do you have an objection to child abuse and all the forms that takes? Is that because that lurks inside you? Now, let's change the parameters even further. We could keep going, but we don't actually need to for the purpose of this video. What I find is that these Pollyanna therapists who have this bizarre notion, it is yet another way of dismissing the real world experience, the real world history that any particular person, client or patient possesses. It is a simple way to dismiss the human experience, dismiss the human suffering, and simply have another glib, well, perception is just projection. You only find those things irritating in your neighbors. You only find those things irritating in your parents because you harbor those things somewhere within yourself. And when you learn to completely self-accept, you will learn to accept those other people. Now, I know personally individuals who espouse this nonsense. And these are the individuals I try and avoid. And I have generally blocked on every possible channel on internet level contact because they drive me nuts. Because here's the thing that I notice. These Pollyanna therapists and coaches, they're usually the most highly strung, narcissistic individuals I know. And that if you cross them, if you disagree with them, if you express the wrong ideology to them, whoa, you watch them fly. Just like This is Editing Andy here. Got a bit carried away, started naming and shaming. In reflection, I figured I'd stop the video right there. So that's why it suddenly cut short. Maybe one day, but I get in so much trouble at home if I get another litigation or threat of litigation. So I figured I better shh.